The Awakening. The void between stars had been humanity's silent tomb for 5 millennia. Deep in the uncharted regions of the Orion Arm, a massive vessel drifted in perpetual night, its systems running on minimal power. The Eternal Vigilance was a monument to a forgotten era, a warship unlike any now known to the galaxy, its hull bearing scars from ancient battles no living being remembered. Inside, rows upon rows of cryo chambers hummed with the faintest electrical current, preserving their occupants in dreamless sleep. The ship's AI, Atlas, had maintained its vigil for 5,000 years, waiting for a signal that might never come. Until today, a transmission cut through the emptiness of space, not directed at the Eternal Vigilance, but a desperate plea for help on an emergency frequency so old that only Atlas recognized its pattern. The ship's systems began to hum with renewed energy as power redirected to the primary cryo chamber. Within the chamber, Captain Ilara Jen's consciousness slowly reassembled itself after 5 millennia of suspension. Her mind struggled to process the sensor data flooding into her neural implants even before her eyes opened. She gasped, her lungs burning as they filled with oxygen for the first time in thousands of years. "Status report," she croaked, her voice rusty from disuse. "Welcome back, Captain," Atlas responded, its synthetic voice oddly comforting. "Current date by original Earth calendar, October 17, 7025. We have intercepted a distress signal on the old emergency bandwidth. Origin: non-human, unknown species. The signal has been repeating for 26 days. Ilara's eyes widened. 7,000. We've been asleep for 5,000 years. She pushed herself upright, fighting the disorientation. Play the signal. The air shimmered as a holographic projection formed before her. The creature displayed had an almost avian appearance, iridescent feathers covering the humanoid form, large compound eyes that reflected fear, and a beak-like mouth that moved in patterns Ilara couldn't understand. "Translation?" she asked. "Working," Atlas replied. "The language shares structural similarities with 17 known alien languages from our database. Approximate translation follows." The alien's desperate chittering was overlaid with a mechanical voice. "Anyone who can hear this. The Dominion fleets have found our colony. They're systematically exterminating our people. We have no weapons to match theirs. If anyone receives this, we are the Nefari of the Lysithea system. Please help us. We have children, families." The message dissolved into what Ilara recognized as sounds of weapons fire. Then silence. "Distance to signal origin?" she asked, forcing her legs to support her weight as she stood. 17 light years, Captain. The signal is 26 days old." Ilara closed her eyes, calculating. "Wake the command crew. Medical, tactical, engineering. We need to assess our capabilities after 5,000 years of drift." Initiating revival protocols for Commander Jackson, Lieutenant Commander Wei, Chief Medical Officer Patel, and Chief Engineer Rodriguez. As Atlas carried out her orders, Ilara made her way to the ship's bridge. Each step became more certain as her muscle memory returned. The Eternal Vigilance had been humanity's crowning achievement, a self-sustaining warship designed for multi-generational missions. But no one had anticipated a 5-millennium sleep. The bridge lit up as she entered, holographic displays springing to life around her. Star charts appeared, showing their position relative to known space, or what had been known space 5,000 years ago. "Atlas, what happened?" she asked. "Why did we sleep so long?" The protocol was for century-long rotations. The AI's voice seemed hesitant. "Captain, I have incomplete data. The final log entry from Admiral Yamamoto, dated May 3, 2025, ordered all human ships to enter stealth protocols and extended cryo-sleep. His exact words were, 'We have been betrayed. The Council has voted for our containment. No human vessel is to reawaken unless directly threatened or answering a genuine distress call. We will not strike first, but we will answer when called upon.'" Ilara's blood ran cold. The Galactic Council had been humanity's ally. Together they had fought against the Scourge, pushing back the tide of destruction that had threatened to engulf the galaxy. What betrayal could have warranted such extreme measures? The doors to the bridge hissed open as Commander David Jackson entered, his dark skin ashen from cryo revival. He stumbled, catching himself against a console. "Captain," he managed. "Did I hear Atlas correctly? 5,000 years." "Afraid so, David," Ilara confirmed. "And we've got a distress call from an unknown species being attacked by something called the Dominion. Ring any bells?" Jackson shook his head. "Nothing from our time. Must be a power that arose after we went to sleep." Over the next few hours, the remaining command crew awakened. Lieutenant Commander Wei took her station at Tactical, her hands flying over the weapons systems diagnostics. Chief Engineer Rodriguez immediately disappeared into the engine room, muttering about checking the antimatter containment fields. Dr. Patel set up a makeshift medical bay to monitor the crew for cryo sickness. "Status reports," Ilara demanded once everyone had settled. Wei spoke first. "Weapons at 89% efficiency. Some degradation in the targeting matrices, but the kinetic accelerators and energy projectors are functional. Point defense grid needs calibration." Rodriguez's voice came over the comm. "Engines are green, Captain. The fusion reactors are running clean, and the antimatter reserves are at 92%. This ship can still dance." "Medical," Dr. Puddle reported. "The crew is experiencing standard revival symptoms, but nothing concerning. We're fit for duty." Ilara nodded. "Atlas, plot a course to the signal origin. Maximum stealth approach." "Course plotted, Captain. FTL drive spooling. We can be there in 26 hours. Execute." Ilara turned to her crew. "I want to know everything about this Dominion before we arrive. Atlas, scan all communications channels. Let's see what's happening in the galaxy we've woken up to." As the Eternal Vigilance slipped into FTL, data began flooding the ship's systems. Atlas filtered through countless transmissions from across the sector, building a picture of a galaxy that had forgotten humanity existed. The Dominion, it seemed, had risen from the ashes of some ancient conflict, a conglomeration of 7 species united under a philosophy of strength and conquest. They had been systematically expanding for over 1,000 years. The Neferi were just their latest victims, a peaceful, technologically advanced species whose territories contained resources the Dominion coveted. No mention of humans in any current transmission, Atlas reported after hours of analysis. Historical references are fragmentary and mythological in nature. Several species refer to an ancient race of star guardians who disappeared from the galaxy, but details are inconsistent. "They erased us," Jackson said quietly. "Wrote us out of history." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Well, they're about to get a reminder." 26 hours later, the Eternal Vigilance dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Lysithea system. The ship's advanced stealth systems rendered it virtually invisible to conventional sensors as they approached the third planet, the apparent source of the distress call. What they found was a war zone. 3 massive Dominion warships orbited the green-blue world, methodically firing on surface targets. Smaller craft buzzed between them, ferrying troops or supplies. The planet's meager defensive satellites had been reduced to debris, and fires were visible even from orbit, spreading across what appeared to be population centers. "Life signs?" Ilara asked. "Approximately 4 million Nefari signatures on the planet," Atlas reported, declining by approximately 3,000 every hour. Dominion ground forces are conducting a systematic extermination campaign. Wei's hands tightened on her console, just like the Scourge used to do. Different species, same playbook. Options. Ilara looked around the bridge. "We could take those ships," Wei said confidently. "Our technology is 5,000 years old, but it was ahead of its time even then. From what I'm seeing of their defense systems, they wouldn't stand a chance." "Or we could try diplomacy," Jackson suggested. We don't know the full situation. Perhaps there's some justification. For genocide, Dr. Patel interrupted, unusually sharp. I'm counting casualty patterns consistent with civilian massacres. Ilara considered for a long moment. Atlas, can we establish communication with any Neferi resistance forces? Scanning encrypted channels. Yes, Captain. I've located what appears to be a resistance headquarters beneath the surface of the northern continent. Open a channel. After a moment of static, a surprised chittering came through the speakers, followed by the ship's automatic translation. Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately. This channel is reserved for. This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Eternal Vigilance, she interrupted. We received your distress call and have come to render assistance. Silence filled the channel before the voice returned, hesitant and disbelieving. Earth, the mythical homeworld of the Guardians. This must be some Dominion trick. No trick, Ilara assured them. We've been away for a long time. But we're back now, and we're here to help. Can you brief us on your situation? The conversation that followed revealed the grim reality. The Neferi had been a peaceful species, focused on scientific advancement rather than military might. When they had discovered valuable rare element deposits on their worlds, the Dominion had manufactured a border dispute as a pretext for invasion. Now they were being systematically eliminated to make way for Dominion mining operations. Why hasn't the Galactic Council intervened? Jackson asked. The Neferi resistance leader, who had introduced himself as High Scholar Vitrol, made a sound that the translator interpreted as bitter laughter. The Galactic Council. That institution has been a puppet of the Dominion for centuries. They sanctioned these pacification campaigns with barely a debate. Ilara and Jackson exchanged troubled glances. The council they had known had been committed to peace and cooperation. High Scholar, Ilara said carefully, would you be willing to meet with us? We need to understand the current galactic situation better before we take action. You would come to the surface. Through the Dominion blockade. They won't see us coming, Ilara promised. Send coordinates for a secure meeting point. As the coordinates came through, Wei looked up from her tactical display. Captain, I've been analyzing their fleet movements. They're preparing for a final bombardment of the northern continent, right where the resistance headquarters is located. Timeline. Less than 2 hours. Ilara's expression hardened. Then we'll need to introduce ourselves before that happens. Commander Wei, prepare targeting solutions for those Dominion ships. Weapons to disable, not destroy. I want their engines and weapons systems offline. Commander Jackson, prepare a landing team. Dr. Patel, gather medical supplies. The Neferi will need help. She stood, smoothing down her uniform. The midnight blue of Earth's United Space Forces, with the insignia of humanity's outstretched hand among the stars. A uniform not seen in this galaxy for 5 millennia. It seems that after 5,000 years of silence, humanity has been called back to war, she said grimly. Let's remind the galaxy who we are. As the Eternal Vigilance moved silently toward the Dominion fleet, its ancient weapons systems powering up, Ilara couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay buried in humanity's forgotten past, and what price they would all pay for uncovering them. The Forgotten Guardians. The Dominion flagship Inevitable Conquest hung in orbit above the Neferi homeworld, its sleek gray hull bristling with weapon ports. On its bridge, Fleet Commander Vex Morin stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the light of tactical displays surrounding him. Commence final bombardment, he ordered, his voice a guttural rumble through respirator implants. The northern resistance pocket is proving stubborn. Fleet Commander, his sensor officer interrupted. I'm detecting an anomaly at bearing 047. Something is disrupting our scanner frequencies. Vex Morin turned his attention to the main view screen. Magnify. At first, there was nothing. Just the blackness of space against the backdrop of distant stars. Then, as if emerging from the void itself, a massive warship appeared. Its design was unlike anything in Dominion records, darker than the space around it, with sleek lines that spoke of deadly purpose. Most striking was its size, nearly twice that of the Dominion flagship. "Impossible," whispered Vex Morin. "Where did it come from?" "Identification. No match in our database," the communications officer reported, her tendrils writhing in agitation. "Wait, we're being hailed." Before Vex Morin could respond, every screen on the bridge shifted to display the image of a human woman in a midnight blue uniform, her dark hair pulled back severely from a face that radiated cool authority. "Dominion vessels, this is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Eternal Vigilance. Your campaign against the Nefari people ends today. Power down your weapons and withdraw from this system immediately, or we will be forced to take action." Silence fell across the Dominion bridge. Vex Morin recovered first, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his species. "Earth? The mythical human homeworld? I think not. Whatever you are, you face the combined might of the Dominion's 7th subjugation fleet. You have one opportunity to surrender before we demonstrate the consequences of this interruption." Ilara's expression didn't change. "I was hoping you'd say something like that." The transmission cut. Vex Morin turned to his weapons officer. "Target that vessel and—" He never finished the order. The Eternal Vigilance moved with impossible speed, closing the distance to the Dominion fleet in seconds. Precise energy pulses lanced out from its forward array, striking each Dominion ship at exactly the same moment. The shots threaded through their defensive screens as if they weren't there, striking with surgical precision at propulsion systems and weapons arrays. Alarms blared across the inevitable conquest as systems failed shipwide. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in crimson as Vex Morin staggered against his command chair. "Report," he bellowed. "Main engines offline. Weapons systems non-responsive. Secondary systems failing across all decks." His officers' voices overlapped in panic. "The other ships report the same. We're all disabled." "Impossible," Vex Morin repeated, this time in a whisper. "No weapon can penetrate our shields so precisely." The human captain's face reappeared on their screens. "As you can see, Fleet Commander, we're not making empty threats. Your ships are disabled, but your life support systems remain intact. For now. I'll give you 1 hour to begin evacuation of all your ground forces. Any Dominion soldier remaining on the planet after that time will be considered a legitimate military target." The transmission ended, leaving the Dominion bridge crew staring at each other in disbelief. Down on the planet's surface, Captain Chen led her landing party through the ruins of what had once been a magnificent Nefari city. The architecture reminded her of the crystal spires of Proxima Centauri's colonies, delicate yet strong, with an emphasis on capturing and redirecting natural light. Now, most structures lay in ruins, shattered by Dominion bombardment. Commander Jackson walked at her side, his hand never straying far from his sidearm. Around them, a security detail of 6 Marines maintained vigilant watch, their powered armor making them tower over the human officers. "Hard to believe," Jackson murmured, surveying the destruction. 5,000 years asleep, and the first thing we find is another genocide in progress." "Some things never change," Ilara replied grimly. "The faces and the justifications are different, but the underlying story is the same." They were approached by a group of Nefari resistance fighters, their iridescent plumage dulled by dust and smoke. At their head walked a tall figure wearing what appeared to be ceremonial robes beneath makeshift armor. "High Scholar Vitrol?" Ilara asked. The alien inclined his head, his large compound eyes reflecting the human's images like kaleidoscopes. "Captain Chen, I confess I did not truly believe you would come, much less that you could neutralize the Dominion fleet so efficiently." "Earth keeps its promises," Ilara said simply. "We need to talk. But first," she gestured behind her, where Dr. Pottle and a medical team were unloading equipment from their shuttle. "Our doctor would like to treat your wounded." Vitrol's feathers ruffled in what the translation software identified as emotion. "Such kindness is unexpected in these times. Please, follow me to our underground sanctuary. The Resistance headquarters had been established in ancient catacombs beneath the city, massive chambers carved from the living rock and reinforced with modern materials. Hundreds of Neferi civilians had taken refuge here, their families clustered together on makeshift bedding. Children with downy, not yet iridescent feathers stared at the humans with wide, curious eyes. In a central chamber converted to a command center, Vitrol introduced his war council. Scientists and scholars pressed into service as military leaders. None had ever expected to fight a war. The Neferi had been at peace for generations. Now, Ilara said once formalities were complete, I need to understand what's happened to the galaxy since humanity left the stage. The Nefari exchanged glances. Finally, Vitrol spoke. Captain, according to our historical records, humans never left the stage, as you put it. They were never on it. Excuse me. Jackson leaned forward. The existence of humans, of Earth itself, is considered a myth by most species, Vitrol explained. A legend from the prehistoric era. There are references in ancient texts to the guardians who supposedly protected the early species during the formation of the first interstellar civilizations, but these are considered allegorical by modern scholars. Ilara felt her chest tighten. We've been erased. Not entirely, said another Nefari, who had been introduced as Archivist Ziv. My specialty is ancient history. The Nefari are one of the few species who still maintain the original historical texts, undoctored by Dominion censors. According to our oldest records, humans were indeed real, a powerful space-faring civilization that helped establish the original Galactic Council approximately 7,000 years ago. That matches our timeline, Jackson said. Earth reached the stars around 2050 by your calendar. We made first contact with the Arcturians in 2062 and helped form the Council in 2089. Zid's feathers quivered with excitement. Then it's true. The records speak of humans as fierce warriors who nevertheless valued peace, who fought only to protect others, never to conquer. The Shield of Dawn, another counselor murmured. What happened to us? Ilara asked quietly. Why were we removed from history? Vitrol and Ziv exchanged glances again. Our records are incomplete, Ziv admitted. There are references to a great conflict, the last war, approximately 5,000 years ago. Afterward, all mention of humans simply stops. The next clear historical records show the rise of what would eventually become the Dominion, claiming to have saved the galaxy from some unspecified threat. Ilara's fists clenched at her sides. She'd awakened to find humanity not just forgotten, but deliberately erased, their accomplishments and sacrifices written out of history. And in their absence, the galaxy had fallen under the control of conquerors and tyrants. High Scholar, she said finally, what do you know about Admiral Yamamoto's final message? About humanity being contained. The Neferi leadership looked blank, but Ziv's feathers suddenly stood erect, a sign of alarm or revelation. There is one text, a fragment I discovered in a ruins dating back to the last war. It mentioned a species being quarantined to their homeworld as part of the peace settlement. The species wasn't named, but it was us, Jackson said flatly. Somehow, they forced us back to Earth and sealed us there. But that doesn't explain why the Eternal Vigilance and other ships like her were put into deep sleep rather than recalled. Perhaps that was Yamamoto's resistance, Ilara suggested. He couldn't prevent the containment, but he could ensure that some fragment of human military power remained among the stars, waiting. A communication chime interrupted the discussion. Captain, came Wei's voice from the Eternal Vigilance. The Dominion ships are evacuating their ground forces as ordered, but we're also detecting new warp signatures at the edge of the system. More Dominion vessels incoming. At least 15 ships, capital class. Ilara exchanged glances with Jackson. Looks like they're not taking this lying down. Lieutenant Commander, maintain position. We'll return to the ship shortly. She turned back to the Neferi Council. It seems we've stirred up the nest. The Dominion won't stop with just this fleet. They'll send everything they have to eliminate us and finish what they started with your people. Then we are doomed, Vitrol said simply. Even with your impressive ship, you cannot stand against the full might of the Dominion. A small smile played at the corner of Ilara's mouth. Who said the Eternal Vigilance was our only ship? Back aboard the Eternal Vigilance, Ilara stood on the bridge, reviewing tactical displays of the incoming Dominion reinforcements. They had approximately 6 hours before the enemy arrived in force. At last, she said, it's time to wake the others. Captain. Wei looked up from her station, confused. The Eternal Vigilance wasn't the only ship Admiral Yamamoto sent into hiding, Ilara explained. There were 12 others, scattered across different sectors, but all programmed with the same protocols: sleep until called. Transmitting wake-up sequence on secured frequencies. Atlas confirmed. Time to response will vary depending on their distance. Jackson joined Ilara at the main tactical display. Even with 13 warships, we'll be outnumbered. The Dominion controls thousands of worlds now, according to the Nefari data. They can keep sending ships indefinitely. We don't need to defeat their entire empire, Ilara countered. Not yet. Anyway, we just need to demonstrate enough power to make them cautious, and to secure the Nefari homeworld as a safe base of operations. Captain. Atlas interrupted. I'm receiving a transmission from the lead Dominion reinforcement vessel. They're requesting to speak with you directly. Put them through. The main screen shifted to show an alien unlike any Ilara had seen before. Where Vexmoran had been reptilian, this creature appeared almost crystalline, its translucent body pulsing with internal light, floating in what appeared to be a specialized atmosphere chamber. When it spoke, its voice resonated like glass being stroked. I am High Executor Corix of the Dominion Security Council. To whom am I speaking? Ilara straightened. Captain Ilara Chen of Earth. The crystalline being pulsed brighter for a moment. Impossible. The humans are contained. Clearly not all of us, Ilara replied coolly. And we've returned to find the galaxy we helped build corrupted by conquest and genocide. Interesting. Corix's form shifted, facets realigning. The containment protocols were implemented before my species joined the Dominion. The historical records suggest humans were quarantined for the greater good, that your species was too aggressive, too unpredictable to be allowed free rein among the stars. Is that what they told you? Ilara asked. Funny how the aggressive humans built a peaceful galactic council, while your benevolent Dominion is systematically exterminating species for their resources. Perspective is everything, Captain Chen. The strong naturally guide the weak. This is the way of the universe. Not while we stand, Ilara stated firmly. The Nefari are under Earth's protection now. Withdraw your forces from this system immediately. The crystalline alien pulsed with what might have been amusement. One ship, however advanced, cannot stand against the Dominion Armada approaching your position. Surrender now, and perhaps we can discuss reintegrating humans into the galactic community, under proper supervision, of course. Ilara smiled. Who said anything about one ship? On cue, space rippled around the Lysithea system as quantum distortions announced new arrivals. 5 massive warships dropped out of FTL simultaneously, taking up defensive positions around the planet. Each was the equal of the Eternal Vigilance in size and armament. Their designs varied but unmistakably of human origin. The Unyielding Resolve, Defiant Dawn, Steadfast Guardian, Righteous Fury, and Enduring Promise reporting for duty, Captain Chen. Came a chorus of voices over the command channel. The others are en route but will require more time. Ilara didn't bother hiding her satisfaction as she addressed Corix again. As you can see, High Executor, the situation has changed. I'll give you the same choice I gave Fleet Commander Vexmoran: withdraw or face the consequences. For the first time, the crystalline being's confident resonance faltered. This complicates matters. I will consult with the Security Council. But know this, human. The Dominion has ruled this galaxy for millennia. We will not surrender it easily. Neither will we. Ilara paused meaningfully. Again. After the transmission ended, Jackson approached her. You realize we've just declared war on the dominant power in the galaxy with only a dozen ships, right? 13. Ilara corrected with a small smile. And I'm counting on the Dominion not knowing exactly how many we have. Fear of the unknown has always been a powerful weapon. And when they realize our true numbers. Ilara's expression grew serious. By then, I hope to have answers about what really happened 5,000 years ago. And why humanity was considered dangerous enough to be written out of history entirely. On the main view screen, the Dominion reinforcement fleet had stopped its advance, holding position at the edge of the system. For now, at least, the show of force had worked. Below on the planet, Dr. Patel had established field hospitals in major Nefari population centers, while engineering teams from the newly arrived ships were helping repair critical infrastructure. After centuries of occupation, the Nefari were experiencing their first taste of freedom, all because of a species they had thought was merely legend. In the privacy of her ready room, Ilara reviewed the ancient logs that Atlas had recovered from the ship's deepest archives, files locked away under Admiral Yamamoto's personal encryption. The Council has betrayed us. Yamamoto's voice echoed from the recording, his face grave. They fear what we might become more than they value what we are. Humanity's potential has always frightened them. Our adaptability, our creativity, our willingness to fight against impossible odds. Now that the scourge has been defeated, they've decided we're too dangerous to be allowed our freedom. He looked away from the camera briefly, composing himself. I couldn't stop them. The vote was overwhelming. Humanity is to be restricted to Earth and the Sol system, our colonies abandoned, our achievements erased from galactic records. They're calling it containment for the greater good. His eyes hardened. But I've ensured we'll have a way back. 13 ships, our most advanced warships, will go into hiding throughout the galaxy, crews in extended cryosleep. If humanity is ever truly needed again, if the peace we fought for is threatened, they'll awaken. The recording ended, leaving Ilara staring at her reflection in the blank screen. So the truth was even more bitter than she had imagined. Not conquest or disaster had removed humanity from galactic affairs, but betrayal by the very allies they had protected. Captain, Atlas interrupted her thoughts. We're receiving a transmission from an unexpected source. It's coming through on an encrypted channel that matches our oldest protocols. Council emergency band. Ilara stiffened. The Galactic Council still uses our communication protocols. Apparently some version of them. Yes. The sender identifies as Guardian Remembered. Put it through, audio only. A voice, carefully modulated to hide its species of origin, filled the room. Captain Chen, not all have forgotten the Shield of Dawn. Some of us have preserved the truth about humanity and awaited your return. The Dominion's rule is built on lies, lies that began with humanity's containment. If you wish to know the full truth, come to the coordinates I'm transmitting. Come alone. The forgotten guardians must rise again, for a darkness greater than the Dominion stirs in the void between galaxies. The transmission ended, leaving Ilara with more questions than answers, and a decision that could determine the future of not just the newly awakened humans, but perhaps the entire galaxy. The first strike. The coordinates from Guardian Remembered led to an asteroid field at the edge of a nameless system, a perfect place for a clandestine meeting. Or a trap. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, a smaller, faster scout vessel detached from the Eternal Vigilance. She had followed the mysterious message's instruction to come alone, but not without precautions. Passive sensors only, she ordered. Keep us hidden among the larger asteroids. The Dauntless slipped silently through the debris field, its advanced stealth systems making it virtually undetectable. After an hour of careful navigation, they'd reached the specified coordinates. an unusually large asteroid with what appeared to be artificial structures embedded in its rocky surface. Life signs? Ilara asked. 1. Reported the sensor officer. Species? Indeterminate. Our scanners can't penetrate the structure fully. There's some kind of interference field. Ilara checked her sidearm. I'm going over. Commander Park, you have the bridge. If I don't report back in 1 hour, return to the fleet and inform Commander Jackson. Despite protests from her security team, Ilara took only a single Marine, Sergeant Rivera, for her excursion to the asteroid. Their shuttle docked at what appeared to be an airlock that opened automatically at their approach. The interior was dimly lit and clearly ancient. Dust-covered consoles built in a style Ilara recognized from historical records. Arcturian design from the early days of the Galactic Council. They followed a series of illuminated floor panels through winding corridors until they reached a circular chamber dominated by a holographic projection system. In the center stood a robed figure,